Namaskar, welcome to the Zana Family Show. Once again, we have an amusing guest today. My name is Sonali. I take care of all the various aspects of Zana Family's operation, sales, and all. And today I'm here with a very, very interesting family member of ours, Mr. Atul Bhatnagarji. He has been in the banking sector all his life. You name it, and he has worked in that bank, HSBC, Citi, Barclays, and he has done wonderful things, especially for the women folk. He had created a lactation room in Barclays, and we will hear more about these things. But let's also understand that what motivated him to be in the social sector, to be supportive of doing a lot of volunteering work. So with that, I welcome Mr. Atul Bhatnagar ji, who is there with us. It's very honoring to be having him in our show today. Over to you, Bhaiya. Take us
Thank you.
through your professional journey.
Namaste to everyone who's looking at this podcast. Um, and thanks for inviting me. Thanks for having me over. Sonali, we met before also digitally. So
Yes.
it's great to be back with you on this. Okay, you asked a question about social sector, really. Well, it's something that, I'm at that age in life. I won't say age really because I still feel quite young. But yes, we are in that phase of life where one would like to give back to the society, and not just in terms of money and resources, etc., but to do things on your own self, where you contribute to it. So I'm working with the Pan IIT Alumni Foundation, which is into um, skill development of underprivileged youth in states where the human development index is low, and we give them 100% employment. This is a residential Gurukul-based system, and same we have girls coming in from the tribal areas in aspirational districts. These are first-time entrants into the banking system. They are, let's say, financial inclusion can't be better than this, and they are trained on industry related professions based on what the initial qualification is. Like if you're class 5 passed, then you get into shuttering, let's say in construction. If you're 10th passed, then you get into masonry and things such like. So these gurukuls are run by ex-armymen. This is roughly a 2 to 3 month course, and they have been given this opportunity to create a career for their own self. And the ex-armyman gets him up at some 4 in the morning, gets him to do yoga, and 6 in the morning they make you salute to the Indian flag, and 9:30 they make made to go to sleep. In between the whole day, they are practicing on equipment, various kind of equipment, and the first week it becomes difficult for them to really adjust to such a regimented lifestyle. But over a period of time, the same person becomes the foster father. And it's a very beautiful program, and we are doing it in a number of states. I also work with the people with disabilities. Again, same thing, we try and get them skilled and get them jobs with Sarthak Education Trust. Here in Gurgaon, we've got a global resource center, and there were 26 centers all across India. Again, same thing, we are trying to find useful job roles where they can contribute. And believe me, the reports that we're getting out from their performance are amazing. The corporates are coming back and saying they work better than, let's say, normal people, so-called. But their disabilities actually turn into an ability. They are more loyal to the organization. They don't jump ship just because somebody's offering them 1,000 rupees extra. And they are more productive. They are very focused. They are not into coffee breaks and WhatsApp breaks and whatever you. So there is a very big opportunity for anybody who's working in various corporates to hire them. They may not be able to do everything, but there's a lot of things that you can do and much better. So that is what the two things. So that's where I kind of stumbled upon these really. Being an IITian, this was coming out automatically. And before I so-called hung up my boots on the corporate era, I was in the National Skill Development Corporation. And I found that there is a lot of value that the skill development ecosystem can add to India, the demographic dividend that we talk of. So while I'm, let's say, a product of higher education, I passed out from IIT Kanpur back in 1985, and I did went to MBA, did my MBA from IIM Calcutta in 1989. In between, I worked for 2 years in Tata Motors in Pune, literally to get my hands dirty on the shop floor. We were trained on every single aspect of a production shop floor. Then I got into banking. Um, and yeah, they would look if one of the mantras that no, I wouldn't say mantra, but let's say my personal experience that I would like to share with viewers here is kid, look, don't get stuck with the designation. Don't get say I'm an engineer, so I'll think like an engineer. I'll always be an engineer, or I'm not because after doing my MBA, I went to say Bank India, and then you say, okay, I'm now a banker. No, don't get stuck to engineering, banking, this, or social sector for that matter, or volunteering. You get stuck to skills. I mean, acquire the skills. What are the skills that you get to know as an engineer? Is problem solving, analytical. If you get into banking, then you're looking at the financial management, marketing, customer behavior. So these are the skills which can go across many other sectors, not the one that you are only working for. So that's how you might find my career progressing from one very different field to another very different field. So then when I was abroad for 14 years. I was with the HSBC in Dubai and then with Barclays in Kenya. And as you rightly mentioned, there was this lactation room. I got awarded the Male Diversity Champion Award. So my women colleagues really nominated for me, and across 55 countries across the world, there were more than 1,500 nominations. And I would say thank you, God, because I had not expected any such kind of recognition, but it was given to me. I was called to New York, and in that Lehman Brothers building right in Times Square, which is
Yeah.
now Barclays US headquarters. I was given that award. So it's like a highlight of my career in 2011. And all that started with a small idea, and then things just mushroomed into a very big one to the extent that multiple other Barclays franchises in various countries also adopted that model of having a lactation room, which helped women, especially when they're newly, I mean, the new mothers who are coming back to office. I mean, well, you've got those 5 months or 6 months maternity leave, but even then the child is still small. It requires, let's say, mother's milk. So what this lactation room was doing is they could express milk in a private area, put it in the fridge in a bottle, and you've got to say a nanny or some maid at home. So next day they would take that milk and give it to the nanny who would feed the child. So mother and child may not be together, but the child gets fed on mother's milk, not the typical commercial milk that you get. So it was a way to kind of bridge the gap. You cannot give unlimited leave, and even though the company allowed for 2 hours to be going back and feed the baby, but it's very difficult to go out, take an auto, rush home, and through all the traffic in the middle of work, and then with all the tension, you have to kind of feed the child. The child also gets to um, inherit all that tension somewhere. But and this particular thing came from the women's forum itself. We had formed a women's forum, so they could share with the management what kind of issues they're facing, the suggestions they may have. And this came as a suggestion. I said, wow, this is good. Let's try and put it together. So I'm just saying how a small, little suggestion can become a very big thing. And well, it got kudos for me on a personal level, but I think as a management principle, I think listen to your staff, listen to suggestions, and don't discard any such suggestion which may come. You may find it not to be so worthy, but when you try and implement something, it can become very big.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here at this fantastic event, one of the highlights of the annual Barclays calendar. Now, in 2010, we added a Male Diversity Champion Award to the Women of the Year programme. And this year, we've again asked our female nominees to vote for a male colleague who has encouraged them to reach their potential and created a working environment that's enabled them to flourish. And we have 3 finalists in this category, and they are Atul Batdagda, Chief Operating Officer, Barclays Africa, Kenya. Secondarily, Greg Chow, Managing Director, Global Head of Real Money Sales, FX, Barclays Capital, the United States. Finally, Daniel Luz, HR Trainee, Europe Retail and Business Banking, Portugal. And the winner for this award, voted by the Women of the Year nominees, is Atul Batnagar. Well done, Atul. And here's a short film of Atul's achievements.
I got involved with the Women's Network Forum when it was first started in Kenya more than a year back. It's a good, important forum where you can get to know what the requirements of women colleagues are.
There's a need to have a lactation room because in Kenya the maternity leave is only 3 months. So you come back before you've breastfed your child enough.
When this particular initiative came across, it was an instantaneous decision. I didn't have to think twice about it. It's an enabler for new mothers to be able to balance their work and home life.
For me, he's been sensitive enough to provide a place for me to still work, be productive. It shows that he feels with the women.
For us, we really feel cherished and encouraged to know that our managers really take care of us and put our interests in their heart.
I think some other heads of other departments should copy from him.
That's a man who's actually thinking about the welfare of women in the company, and I think that's a really, really nice thing for him to do for us, and we're very grateful.
It's made me feel really on top of the world how a small change can create such a big wave. We have seen the benefit and seen the workplace morale go up, and we're definitely going to replicate it in a number of places.
What Atul has done is remarkable, and I have no doubt that this will be an example to many of our male colleagues to do similar activities to help the cause of our female colleagues within the workplace.
Hello. Thank you, Atul. I just want to thank you for the baby eagle room. Because of you now, I'm able to feed my baby on breast milk, and look at how big it's become. Thank you. God bless you.
Well done. We're very proud. That's what it's going to get.
And I think it said Baby Eagle on the lactation room. What a great piece of branding that is. And
so back to India, when I was relocated with my family in 2012, I joined the National Skill Development Corporation. And that's where I found that the skill development ecosystem, despite all the higher education we talk of, etc., which is fine. I mean, I also got my degree, so I can't deride that. But the fact of the matter is, even in India, even today, and that's really pains me that people are still doing things online and everything is very IT focused. But how do you teach manufacturing in an online fashion? And if we are aiming to take up the space that China might vacate, or if you to give a strong competition to China, our youth have to be hands-on in terms of doing anything in manufacturing. Because, or in agriculture, again, the same thing. I mean, you might teach what a seed looks like, but to get the feel of the seed, it is only when the farmer can make out, okay, look, is this seed going to work or not? And that's what, and how do you, find the right way to be able to water the fields, etc. So there are a number of other things where you can apply technology. So National Skill Development Corporation gave me that overview when I was the Chief Operating Officer had a good look at the entire ecosystem, worked with the industry leaders to get a good idea of what India needs, especially to get this demographic dividend going, because this is very important for India, our youth. We are one of the youngest countries in the world now because our average age is 29 years, and China is at 38, EU is like some 45, and Japan is at 48. We keep hearing that they are getting to geriatric care rather than the Indian youth is. But the same Indian youth, if they are pushed into just education and do all the class 10 and 12 and CBSE, etc., I'm happy to see NEP come out. NEP is giving a lot of focus to skills. In fact, there are 76 places where skills have been developed, has been mentioned in that document. It's now how do we implement NEP, and that's going to create a lot of change in the Indian ecosystem itself. So sorry for a very long answer, but I'll try
No, no,
and
absolutely.
simplify.
That was very comprehensive. What I would like to understand is that NSDC definitely it has come forward in a big way and prepared people for skills, etc. However, the unemployment aspect in India is still very high. So, what is the not only the government, but like you mentioned that your NGO is also looking into it. Is this something that you have founded on your own, or is it something which you have joined? And which are the states where you are catering to, the skill development for the youth in those states?
Look, uh, this is a bunch of IIT alumni started this in 2009, way before I joined them. I first had a look at when they were getting associated with the NSTC. They were voted the best training partner in 2014.
Okay.
So we work typically with the state government. We formed a JV. So in Jharkhand, we've got a JV called the Pan IIT Alumni Reach for Jharkhand, Praja.
Okay.
And the government provides us these land building space, which is, it might be an old post office not being used now, some BSNL office not being used now, or some government's got multiple buildings which are not in use, they've been made for whatever reason. And that's where we started a residential place. Now, first thing we did was, look, we made sure that we did not start a batch unless there's a job at the other end.
Sure.
And we involved the corporates also to come and have a look at the selection process itself. And like say, Shapoorji Pallonji being one of the major employers we had very early on, and they would supply the material. They would, so the boys would be working on exactly the same thing that they would see on a project site.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And while they are being, let's say, they are in the residential place, they are being taught and motivated, and they're giving that little that's bent of mind. Look, this is a career break for them. And they have really taken it up well. I mean, they have reached Dubai, Oman, and also, and I'm not saying that's the only route to do it, but those who had that passion, they have even gone abroad. And they have, now what it means is when they come back to their homes, we can see a 6x kind of a change in their income scenario.
Excellent.
So
which are the states where it's happening?
Yeah, so it's happening in Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh. Now we're getting to Assam, UP, and Bihar. We're typically going where the human development index is low. We are not right now focused into the Maharashtra and Karnataka, etc., where there's a decent amount of youth coming in. So what I'm trying to say is, now why is there no jobs and all that? Yes, because we are only looking at the organized sector. Organized sector means that only 10% of India's sector is really organized, various sectors that we have. I mean, that's where all your Tatas and the Birlas and your Ambanis and Adanis, all those. How many jobs can they produce on a daily basis, on a yearly basis? 5 lakhs, maybe 10 lakhs. But we are talking of 10 lakh people joining the workforce every single month for the last 10 years. That's a kind of youth is already there in the market. So the MSME is supposed to play a big part. There are more like 1 lakh MSMEs in the market right now, and they have to be deploying these trained manpower. And for that to happen, we need to get now. Hopefully, the GST bit. Typically, these companies have been working to save tax and kind of do a lot of cash business, etc. Now things are changing, and if they see the value in these trained people, and they have to be given a skilled wage. There has to be a difference between an unskilled wage and the skilled wage, because the person is coming after getting skilled. He or she should be respected for that extra bit that the person has put in. And that's one drawback that we're seeing in the market itself. They generally take them, come and we'll exploit you for 2 years and then kind of see what you are doing. But if we can create that differential, then it'll be a pull factor for many other youth to come forward.
I really can't think of any other brand or institution that has done so much for India and the world as IIT has. When you go around the world and you talk about India to so many people, I think the message, the image of IIT is something which today has actually become an image of India.
What we do really is not just skill building, but it is about transforming their life.
इस चीज का सबसे प्राउड हो रहा है कि जो हम लोग का गांव में सबसे पहले जॉब करने वाले मैं हूँ।
हम लोग को यहाँ 3 महीना के अंदर इतना कुछ नॉलेज दे दिया जाता है जिससे हम लोग आउट ऑफ कंट्री जाके अच्छी तरह से काम कर सकते हैं, मेहनत से काम कर सकते हैं, अगर दिल लगा के हम लोग काम करना चाहें तो।
We found the tribal youth and all of these youngsters, they had that personal will and initiative but did not have access to opportunity.
यहाँ आने के बाद मैंने अपनी क्षमताओं को पहचाना है तथा उनमें बेहद वृद्धि भी पाई है।
If one has to create an IIT ecosystem for skilling, this is perhaps the best way.
So it's just not training, it's assured employment-based training.
We arrange a loan for them, which they pay back once they get the job.
We, for the first time, are promoting democratized equity ownership at the grassroots level in India.
So really nice to know that 10 lakh youth are getting employed every month. That's a phenomenal number.
Are coming into the workforce doesn't mean that they're getting employed. They're not getting employed. So we are saying 1 million people are, that's 10 lakhs, are joining the workforce every month. That means they are ready to be employed. They may not have the skill,
jobs,
the right skills at that same time.
Okay.
So there is, that's what is contributing to the unemployment.
Sure.
What can change that unemployment to an employment is a change in the entire, let's say, policies of the government, that MSMEs. Now, of course, you keep hearing about the apprenticeship act coming in.
Yeah.
They're saying that they will be paid a stipend when they start joining in.
Right.
So those things are being done. But yes, I fully agree. Unemployment is pretty high. Definitely a big problem we have.
And also what we are seeing is that a lot of these multinationals are in a stage where they are laying off people, at a random basis. So what's your opinion about that? And what do you think this mid-management people can come out and do all of a sudden when they are knocked out of the workforce and they have EMIs, they have families to support? What do you think they can do differently when they are in a situation like that?
Look, there are 3 aspects to the skilling bit. One is, of course, the fresh skilling, so the ones that are just coming out of school or maybe they're school dropouts, etc. They're coming. Then there is another thing called the reskilling bit. That's typically the crowd that you are talking of. You say like the BPO crowd is of absolutely no use now, but having said that, they know a lot about how to work on a computer. They are very good in presentation, etc. I mean, they can talk to a customer, which is a very big thing. I mean, it's not easy to come back. They've got a good communication skills. How they are deployed into something different, we'll talk about it. And there's upskilling. So you have a certain skill, but now you want to upskill yourself, which is a lot of digital means. Typically marketing itself. I mean, do you know social media marketing? There was a time when even I, for that matter, I may have a degree in marketing from IIM Calcutta, but that was more in the physical space. And now everything is in the social media space. I mean, all the Instagram, the likes and the impressions and the, all the other kind of metrics have all changed. So that means you have to upskill yourself on those aspects. So the people who are getting laid off are mostly in the IT industry, anything that is related, because of Chat GPT coming in, AI coming in, all the bots are coming in, replacing every agent that was sitting on a table and talking on the phone. So now there are 10 bots can do the work of nearly 150 people, and they don't get tired. They can do night shifts, they can do anything. So bots are, and they're made intelligent through AI, etc. But having said that, so I think that is something you have to learn and keep earning and learn more, earn more. So anybody who's thought, okay, look, I've got a degree and therefore now I can sit back and work for the next 30 years. It's a very, very big warning sign. You have to check that mindset away. You have to now start thinking literally every 6 months, forget it was every 3 months, you have to think about, okay, what next? Can I learn something more? Can I be up with the time? So you have to be very, very aware. On the manufacturing side, because that is where India has typically jumped from the agriculture economy to straight to IT economy, the services economy. They have missed the manufacturing boat. And somehow manufacturing is not seen as let's say, a glamorous kind of a thing to work on. But this is the time that you have to look at manufacturing very closely. I mean, and give them the respect. Skilling requires, if you have skills, you get respect. But in Indian scenario, unless you've got a fancy title, managing director or this director or this, that, and the other, you don't kind of take up a profession, because after all, the designation gets you married or something also. So it's a very it's the ill of the society, I would say. I mean, when will the matrimonials column start reflecting what the son-in-law, who's a welder, who earns 45,000 rupees per month, and who's passed out from ITI, etc. The same welder or the plumber, and you can keep seeing those BBC shows where they pull down a house and they make it up in 5 days. And these pretty handsome guys come in and with all kinds of tools. Like they come in a car and they actually are welder. They are actually carpenters. But in India, the moment you say you're a carpenter and all, you start looking down on these people. But those have skills. Very frankly, I have great respect for them. They have the skills I don't.
Very true. Very true. No, so definitely, I think that is changing with times. And today, when somebody comes from an urban company and they fix our light or fix our geyser or any of these things, I think I have huge respect for these guys, because, like they know what they are doing and they are bound by time and they're excellent that way. And I think, like you said, that in the organized sector, while there's hiring, layoff, and all these things happening because of AI, job creations, etc. I would also say that, like the education systems also need to work with times in upgrading their programs, upgrading the kind of concepts that they're teaching these youth who are coming into the workforce. So that's something which is getting done, I guess. So the other thing is, Atulji, like I would like to understand, like you had done this lactation room and women in the workforce, right? Women go through a different cycle of life altogether, where they have to hat many responsibilities, and sometimes they get so exhausted that they drop out of the workforce, right? So do you think that's the right way, that, okay, like you are starting a family, so you can take a break? And a lot of employers also, I see, are very reluctant to hire because the person is going through that cycle of marriage, then babies, then, how to grow and manage the family, etc. So, what's your take on that? That should women drop out of the workforce because they have to handle so many domestic responsibilities? Or if they have to continue, what's the kind of support beyond lactation rooms? Because it's not just, we have come a long way from where women were totally domesticated to becoming professionals, right? Today, they are handling any profession, you name it, they are there, right? So in a journey like this, how would you say that girls kind need to reimagine their career journey?
Look, women, I mean, for them to become mothers, it's a great gift from God, really.
Right.
Men can't do that. So women have to, so I think they are more privileged than men, at least in God's eyes.
Right.
How do we make that more practical in the current day and age? Of course, work from home has become a very big enabler, I would say.
Right.
That during the time that the baby is growing up and they've got these challenges to meet, then they can work from home. So the industries can, let's say, tweak the job rules such that they can work from home for the time that the baby is up and running and can manage things on their own. So that, yeah, they started with crashes and etc. But that is, I don't really, I mean, it serves in some way, but then if you put some 10 children under one roof and one of them gets a cold and the other nine also get a cold. So that it may not be the best way, but the best is from home itself. If they can do this work, then so for the time that they are in a different situation now with Zoom, etc., it wasn't there earlier. Zoom and all these kind of Google Meets. So women can literally have a small office of their own, sitting from home. And in Sarthak, we've got this lady who's doing work from Bhopal, and she's excellent at that piece. So I mean, we don't want her to come to office really. She's so good. From her, she's got her second baby recently. So I'm just saying that I've seen that performance go up because they are multitaskers. And this is something that that bit of skill we need to kind of bring it to the workforce or to the work area, sitting from home itself. So I think work from home is a very big plus from the company's point of view, for that time period when they are moving out for this short break. That's where you change the job role and give them something else to work on. I mean, social media marketing is a great thing to do from home. You don't need to come to office, very frankly, and many other coding, etc. And now, of course, coding has changed to ChatGPT. So there's so many ways that they can do the same work from home. Yeah. And it's not that you are, you're the managing director and therefore you'll kind of lose that position. Women have let's say up to 35, you're in the middle management thing, you can do these tweaks and all. Right? And then when you're back into the workforce, you can rise and shine, and sky's the limit of.
Yeah. True. And that reminds me of one more thing that, like this, there is a retirement age in India, which is 58 or 60. Do you feel that's the right age, given the fact that, medical science has evolved, people are much more conscious, and, we are always saying that 40 is the new 20 and so on and so forth. A lot of people who are retiring have a lot of energy that they want to give back to the industry, society. So how do you think they can pivot their journeys into something more successful, something which is more fulfilling, and give them that, element of progression in their journey of life?
Yeah, no, that's a very difficult question, seeing India's scenario especially, because on the one hand, we would like to welcome contribution from their experience gained over the years. I'm told the Indian bureaucracy has now mooted a proposal by which it's already been done, that the age is now being taken to 65 because they're not finding, especially at the senior levels, with the kind of, let's say, the experience you've gained. And when you become a secretary, you're just there for one or 2 years, and then you kind of disappear again. We need that experience. I mean, in the current day and age, when you are in such a difficult situation with respect to our borders, etc., we need very many people who know how to handle the external affairs and how do you handle the defense side and how to handle so many people around.
Yeah.
So on one hand, that is the scene, but at the same time, if the youth that is coming in, they don't get employed, then you've got a bigger problem. So India has a problem at both ends. It has to be a nice mix of the two. So the older people, I wouldn't say older people, but people who are in that phase of life where they've got the experience but may not have the energies. So a lot of these, I mean, we keep hearing of 1 lakh startups are there in India. So they can be the mentors for the 1 lakh startups, really. That's a good place to lend your energies. And they should get paid for it. I mean, it's not just giving free gyan for whatever you experience. So these startups have to welcome that and get them involved in their work. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more successes coming in when you have somebody looking at you and helping you, because they don't have the energies to run fast, but that's where the young minds will be able to do that. But they definitely have the contacts. So there are these angel investors, and then there are a lot of incubating companies, but there are still very few and very, it's still again, okay, look, I can do this and the other, but this very big experience drain that can be arrested through getting them channeled to the right place. And with the digitization, you can be sitting in Delhi and helping a Coimbatore or startup or Meghalaya startup. So you don't have to move and say, "Kacha, where are you? How do I come to office?" etc. Yeah,
very true. You have done such a beautiful, transition. So tell us a little bit about how did it occur to you, and how you transition into this new role, and how does it feel?
Well, very frankly, I never planned for it. I have been typically, of the point that I'm a very unplanned person. Let's say I don't kind of go down and make my to-do list on a daily basis, knock it off. Yeah, I read about it in management books, and maybe I even tell people to give them a plan, but I'm not. I have seen myself, and I'm very spiritual in that mind. I have been with Art of Living, and for the last 25 years, and I'm part of the advisory board for social projects, and we're doing work on river rejuvenation and women empowerment, skill development, or rural development, all those things. So how did I reach there? How did I reach here? It's like, I have kind of jumped into the Ganga, and wherever the Ganges is taking me, I go there. I don't kind of swim against the current, and I don't swim to decide, look, no, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to go there. And things just fall into my lap, and I just welcome them. So I'm actually, I would say, thank you, God, for whatever you've given me. And that contentment, I think that contentment itself gets you where you want to be, but you never thought you can be. So I never practiced, said, okay, I'll be joining Pan IIT Foundation or something like that. But it just came my way, and I took it with both hands. And that's been my journey so far. I never thought I'd be going abroad and I'll be jumping from one bank to the other. And even in banks, I was in fraud control in credit cards. And within 2 years, I went into marketing. So I said, look, and people, even I used to wonder, look, I don't know about fraud control because there was nothing called fraud control training at that time. And next moment, I was in marketing. So the organizations also gave me a lot to ponder about, and with God's grace, did well.
So what do you think are your biggest skills that has got you what you wanted in life? Like you didn't plan for it, but it just came along. So what are these top 3 skills, which, of course, I'm not just talking about you being an IITian, in context to general masses, what are these top 3 skills which you feel are very critical when it comes to achieving your goals or leading into something which you really aspire to do?
So I would rank creativity as my topmost skill. Second would be communication, and the third would be customer behavior, customer orientation.
And how do you think one can inculcate these skills? If the youth of today had to inculcate these skills, what would be the way to do it?
Well, on creativity, it's just you don't have to sit down and say, "Okay, look, I'm going to be creative today." But it's just that when you see a particular opportunity, problem, challenge, whatever you say, and you have a certain, or somebody is giving you a certain way to look at it, think about it. Okay, look, can I look at it differently? That's it. Can I see this in a different perspective? So you have to welcome perspectives, very frankly. That's it. And uh, and communication, after you have formed a certain thought process, you don't have to get stuck to it, because sometimes you say, okay, no, I know I'm right, and I know this is the way to go, and and it might be the way to go also, very frankly. But then the ecosystem that you're in, the organization that you're in, your bosses might be saying something different. So you should have that in the back of your mind. And you know that the same creativity might come in a different form. It may not come in that particular moment. So communication is after you have developed that. Where do you go and how do you communicate that? And the third, it has to serve someone. I mean, when I say customer orientation, that means it should not be to just make yourself feel good. It's not like making the best kind of meal for yourself. It's more how you feed somebody else's mind and hearts, and how do you make that work out for you. So it's like food for thought that you're giving to other people also. And so when I, let's say, when I work with people with disabilities, I take the IT part of theirs. So we have created an app for enrolling every single, that's our objective, to create every single person with a disability in India. And there are more than 8 crore such people in the market, right? And they did not have any one place to even go and see what are their rights are, what kind of opportunities there may be. And in that process, we've said, okay, why not we have matrimonial columns on a mobile app?
Yeah.
How would the person with disability find a partner for his own or herself? So it just, I wouldn't say, well, I would say creativity, because nobody else would have thought about it. Nobody else has. We're trying to do that, something that is going to be, so when you think like a customer, I wouldn't use the word customer here, but when you step into somebody else's shoes and you see the world from their perspective, can you make a difference?
And what is the biggest, in this entire journey, with all the skills that you acquired, great qualifications that you acquired, what is the biggest, challenge that you solved in your journey?
Okay, that actually started right at the beginning, very frankly. I mean, that's really set me on the path to where I am today. When I joined Tata Motors, Telco, it used to be called Tata Engineering and Locomotive Company, in 1985, after IIT Kanpur. It was a 2 years graduate engineering training program. We were a bunch of guys that you all, some 60 odd people, we were all let loose in various parts of Tata Motors. We had to do 3 months training in each place. So we are on the shop floor, then we are in some HRD department, in IT department, wherever. So I was in the production shop floor, and I would say, okay, look, that's where my first training, and that made my thinking change completely. So there was this DGM who called us, and there were 5 of us in the shop floor. He called us to his office, and at that time we were very worried. We were young grads out, and we were all wondering, "Yaar, job nahi chala jayega, maybe we did something wrong." And he called us to his room and he said, "What are you guys doing?" So we said, "We all try to play it up. No, we are working hard." He said, "No, none of you guys are doing anything such thing. And I'm going to give you a project." He said, "Yeah, make a cherry picker from it." And we said, "What does a cherry picker mean?" He says, "I want a mobile platform you can move around in the production shop floor." It has never been thought of also. Now, he trained our minds. He said, "Okay, look, what is a cherry tree? Cherry tree is a very fragile tree. To pluck the fruit, you need both your hands free, and it's a tall tree. So you can't put a ladder against it because it will fall. If you don't have the cherry with the small stalk, then nobody's going to buy. Correct? So you have to have your hands free, you're up in the air, and you pluck the fruit from the tree. So same way, you go into the shop floor and you can be, I mean, he says, okay, look, the workers have to hang themselves from the top and they want to kind of do something on the machine, like some malfunction that's happening. So those guys are really staking their lives on this. So I want to replace that. I want to make their lives better. Think of a cherry tree and a cherry picker and make something for me. And it was so. I said in 1 week I want your proposals. There was no internet, there was no library, nothing. We just had to sit down, brainstorm something, come on. So we came out 2 designs. We presented to them, the entire executive committee, a very big thing for us to do so. Then he says, okay, I like this one, fine, go ahead and make it. He said, no, come on, that's too much. No. So he says, no, the company resources are yours, go ahead, get it on. And then we started. It took us 6 months to do that. But we are always afraid. Now, at the end of 6 months, and I'll share some photographs of the cherry picker. My wife still calls me calls that as my first love, because I talk about more about cherry tree than about her. Anyway, so during this time, and we thought all this while that all these things are ploys to get us out of the company. I mean, whether I'm from IIT or not, but I'm not expected to make a machine right within 6 months of my passing out, something like that. He told us, I mean, when he saw the final product and it was a big success. By the way, it lasted 20 years after I left Tata Motors. It was still there. It worked its way through. He told us, okay, look, every single day, he said, you thought you guys were losing sleep? I was losing sleep because I knew that if you had failed in this project, it would have been a blot on your life for your entire career. You guys are just starting off. So I had my people, literally my moles, going around you. They were observing what you're doing. They were telling me, are you on the correct path? In case you are not and going to succeed, I would have pulled you out and saying, okay, very good. You've got your hands ready. Just wanted to give you experience. Now you do your work and all. And he said, that's what I was going through all this while. And that's when I realized, look, bosses are not always toxic and they are very, very welcome people. And he's a hard taskmaster. He had an awful temper also, but he had a beautiful heart. And I respected the beautiful heart. What he inculcated in us was creativity, really. And to be able to work with the problem and see it to the end. It's not like I made a design and created a model and that's it, end of story. Somebody else will work on it. No, you make something and came out very well. So I think that was very early on in my career, I got that flavor of creativity and responsibility and how to make things work and how to address people who later reported to me. And I saw that all through my life.
That's interesting that you said that, like your boss was so encouraging and this happened, because I do hear a lot of youngsters complaining about toxic bosses and stuff. It's a blessing if you have the right one. What do you do when you have a wrong one, but a great organization?
Well, I also had that experience too.
You did? That's interesting.
Yeah. When I was in Dubai, after HSBC for a brief 18 months, I was working with an NBFC, a non-banking financial company. It's pretty, and it was part of the Sheikh's kingdom, really, Kilo. They wanted to establish an NBFC in every single country, starting from Dubai. So it sounded very attractive. Right. Lots of money at disposal. We said, you just take anybody's help you want, etc. So my boss used to be an Emirati, one of the UAE itself. And things are going great. He's giving us quite a lot of work to work with. But suddenly I got one fine day, one of the girls and her supervisor, manager actually came to me and said, look, boss is sexually harassing me. So he's sending things to, so imagine the CEO of a company being, so the leader becomes a predator. That was the case. And I was directly reporting to him. So now these are things that you're not taught in management or even any other place. How do you handle a case? I mean, usually when there's such a case, you go to your boss and kind of discuss, okay, look, what do we do? Or you go to the HR. I went to the HR manager. HR manager was in collusion with the leader itself. So that was also gone. And then became a very tough 4 5 months that I had to be there. It went all the way to the board and the board of governors, they called him. And he said he went and cried. I was told, I wasn't there for that, but he cried and kind of begged for forgiveness. And he was forgiven. That's the worst part. So when he was forgiven, then I did not have space in that organization. That's the reason I moved from Dubai to Kenya. Luckily, Barclays gave me a job, so I moved there. But it was a very tough thing. I changed my entire life, and within, I mean, I was very happy in Dubai, contented life. It's a very cushy place anyway. And then moving to Dubai, to Kenya is, but then God takes care. I would say. Look, I had not planned it, and nobody
I
had
think
ever
what you
thought of
said
it.
is right. God takes care. That's the way forward.
So I wrote a book. I wrote one of the chapters. There's a book called A Chapter in Out of My Life. A Chapter Out of My Life. It's done by some 19 IM alumni. Each one has given one chapter.
Yeah. I came
The
across
chapter, the chapter on what happened to me personally is there about this particular case. So yes, I had a toxic boss too.
to handle and like go forward in
Yeah,
life.
and being in a foreign place, though, it becomes even more difficult. And in Dubai, if you lose your job, you lose your visa also. So it's not easy to kind of. I mean, there was a chance that for me, one of the very simple things was the girl that was being sexually harassed was actually a free person. So you could have just fired her, and that end of story gets.
Yeah.
But somehow my ethics didn't allow me, so I put my job on the line. I'm in touch with her. She's got now 2 boys, and she's happily married, and she keeps writing to me and
So she
saying.
quit the place as well, I'm assuming.
After some time, yes, she did. But I was told to go after some time. I knew that if the guy is being retained, then I have to go. Anyway.
Yeah. I think that's a part of the deal, right? So when you have a conflict with somebody very powerful in the organization, it is a like the only way out is parting ways and starting something new.
Correct. There's no point in conflicts are not resolved in offices anyway. You have to either go around them, or one of you has to.
Yeah. Otherwise, you just submit to the values and the ethics of the organization and then move on with it. Right. So what is, the legacy that you want to leave behind? I'm sure that, a lot is still to come. What is your dream hereafter? And what is the legacy that you want to build for yourself?
Well, legacy is just, look, I keep saying, do make others happy. I mean, do something for others, really. I mean, you've done enough for yourself. When I don't get paid for my work here in, let's say, for people with disabilities, but it gives me good sleep. So I think that's a great return on investment, if you can say, of your time. So legacy is through your creativity and through all these skills that you have acquired, how you can make the world a better place, especially in, say, for people with disability. I'm not saying I'm a great leader and I'm going to change the entire world. But in whatever sphere that you have, even in your own society, if you were to do, if you were part of your RWA itself, how do you make it better for your entire set of people around you to coexist there? That itself is a big thing to do.
But that's a great ambition to have, that, really work towards the, I don't know whether you have been part of the RWAs, so much of conflict between this group, that group. So many things happen that at some point in time, because time is so limited in our lives, right? You have your
Yeah.
children, you have your other responsibilities, and your parents are growing old. So that is another side of, responsibility that you need to keep up with. And of course, then professional life, which kind of takes most of your bandwidth. So how do you kind of make, and again, from a skill perspective, when you are in a group or in a let's say RWA, where these conflicts are going on, and you have a certain idea which can really be good for the entire society and the well-being of all the residents, how do you go and work through this?
Well, I don't join the RWA because of that. But, and very true. I mean, the RWA story is
You said it. You said, oh, no, I am not in it. I can give you the idea. You can solve the conflicts and then decide whether you want to go ahead with this or not.
No, but I do go for getting the facts right, basically, and try and people get very emotional about such things.
Yeah.
And I keep saying, look, guys, the RWA are the same people that you will be inviting at home for dinners and shadis, and you'll be meeting them any common area during Holi, Diwali. So they're not there to kind of make a fast buck of your hard-earned money. They are
Right.
doing what the best is, and they have devoting their time, and this is like a thankless job completely. So you need to support them, correct? At most you can make a point, but don't fight about it. Okay, look, no, I know this is not done and that's not done. They are doing the best they can. They're giving the time. You don't have the time to give it, so they're giving their time, and you should be thankful. I mean, the whole thing is be
At
thankful
some
for.
point in time, I had a feeling that, it should be, if there are 40 houses, 100 houses, it should be rotated across all the houses. Because that's the only way people are not going to make an issue out of every small thing and focus on something which is bigger, right?
Correct.
But, like that may be a RWA, but what happens to an organization? Because that also has similar conflicts, similar issues. So, what is the best way to kind of arrive at the best solutions, implement them, get the best results, etc.? So, how do you navigate this conflicting zone of life in your workplace, in your maybe family at times, and even otherwise?
I think that's where when you asked me the three major things that I concentrate on, communication is very important here. I mean, sometimes people, even while doing good, I mean, some people are shy of saying, look, I did something good for you, and they will start saying, yeah, usko to malum pad gaya hoga. He understands, or he or she would accept it like that. But everybody has a different perspective. So how do you put it out, whether in words or in as gestures, etc., is very important. I think communication is the single most thing. Where I mean, even domestic disputes, finally you land up by saying, okay, you did not tell me in time, or you didn't say what you are doing right now. So you have to say what you mean, and whatever you. So that is, there's no single answer for that, but it's. Yeah, still conflicts will occur, but then if you are very objective in your approach, whether in an organization or at home, I mean, then well, I'm sure even God doesn't know how to address the disputes between husband and wife, but if they even he doesn't have the clear answer.
I think that's the best said, area of life, I guess. Yeah, true.
There will be disputes as part of human life, but I think finally it comes to how you communicate.
Awesome. So I think thank you so much, Atul Bhaiya. This has been a phenomenal session. And as we speak, I've already decided we need to have what should I say, a small workshop on creativity, communication, and customer focus. Ye karna hi karna hai. Because, I think if this is the essence of life, these skills can solve not only issues in society, in workplace, and also in families. This is a skill everyone should acquire. right? Irrespective of age, irrespective of, where you are, what you're doing. Because like you said, that these are very fundamental elements which can either make or break your life, right? And the fact that you being an IITian is vouching that these are the skills which has sailed you through life very smoothly, not as in you have had your bumps and, like rockets in the happening, but still you have navigated because of these skills. So we need to have something around this. We will create and come back to you. And thank you so much for your time. It was really wonderful talking to you, learning about the various episodes in your life and how you have beautifully pivoted every part of, your journey. And we look forward to staying connected and doing more. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Bhaiya. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sure,
Nice
once
meeting you.
again, yeah,
Yes.
to the Zana family viewers, like this, let's practice all that we have learned in today's session today, especially the element, the skill that Bhaiya spoke about, which is creativity, communication, and customer focus. I think a lot can be achieved when you practice these things on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you.